Hey, well, good morning, CFC. It's Pastor John Stone with our Tuesday morning devotion. You may hear singing in the background, and you see a baptism certificate and an order of worship. I'm actually shooting this on Sunday morning. I'll be out of town Monday through Thursday, doing a little bit of continuing ed. But actually, we'll be with you this coming next Sunday. I mean, you're getting this on Tuesday morning, and that's our Sunday where we highlight the missionaries we support, and we're gonna look at our crisis pregnancy centers that we support. And I want to ask the question, what do we do now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned? A lot of people have talked about that. I'm certainly not the only one, but just want to add at least a note to that. And I'm going to do it in Matthew 18. Then Peter came to Jesus and asked, Lord, how many times shall I forgive my brother or sister who sins against me? Up to 7 times? Jesus answered, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began the settlement, a man who owed him 10,000 bags of gold was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that he had be sold to pay the debt. At this, the servant fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I'll pay back everything. The servant's master took pity on him, canceled the debt, and let him go. But when that servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins. He grabbed him and began to choke him. Pay back what you owed me, he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, be patient with me, and I will pay it back. But he refused. Instead, he went off and had the man thrown into prison until he could pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were outraged and went and told their master everything that had happened. Then the master called the servant in. You wicked servant, he said, I canceled all that debt of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had on you? In anger, the master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from your heart. As we think about what it means to live in a world where in some states abortion is still legal, in other states it is not, and there's an in-between even there. And as we have seen a law that was in place for many, many years allowing free abortion, and some of the really difficult things that flowed out of that. Now that we see that law changed, what do we do? And I'm simply speaking from my experience, and this is what I'm going to speak on this coming Sunday, is that Christians have been understandably and rightly loud about the need to outlaw abortion, that abortion is the murder of unborn children, and that the scriptures forbid that. Christians have not at times been equally loud that someone can be forgiven who's had an abortion. It can feel to me, and it can feel to those who've experienced abortion, who've had abortion, who paid for one, who had one, who participated in one, as if this is the unforgivable sin. And the scriptures are clear, there is no unforgivable sin. In our parable, a man owed an unpayable debt. The debt that he owed, the first servant, was accumulated over several lifetimes. And he was unable to pay the debt. And what was true is no matter how hard he worked, no matter how hard he invested, no matter how wise he was, even if he had many people help him, that debt could not be paid. And when it was time for him to be punished for his rightful debt, he begged the master to forgive him, and the master forgave him. But that guy went out, having been forgiven a debt that could not be forgiven, and found someone who owed him a month's wages, which could have easily been paid back in a year and a half, 2, at most 3 years. And he began to choke that man when he did not pay him immediately. Here's the question I want to ask. Are we trying to punish people? Are we trying to punish our culture because they have allowed and participated in abortion? Or are we inviting them to be forgiving? Do we believe people who've had abortions can be forgiven? They can, fully and freely. What's interesting about this debt is it could not be paid. And when you have participated in the death of anyone else, intentionally, unintentionally, unknowingly, with malice and aforethought, that can't be repaid. You can't pay it back. It has to be forgiven. And what this passage teaches us is that there is a king who can pay it back. Jesus can pay for any sin. It can be fully, freely, completely forgiven. Are we willing to be loud about the forgiveness that we have in Jesus? There is a king that can forgive. And I want our church to stand for the unborn and to equally stand and be loud for the forgiveness that the king offers. If you ask him, Jesus will pay for any sin. Look forward to being with you this Sunday. I hope you have a great day.